Untitled 2. There was another Untitled video, and this isn't necessarily connected, but sometimes helpful to not start a whole new set of videos on emotion or, whatever I'm trying to describe with the video. And the Untitled describes for this video not being a whole new part of emotion, but like recognizing like the body, the psychological cognition of stuff moving quicker, stuff moving faster, and stuff being less distracting and causing less misdirection. Not only visually, with the body, like, oh, less ugly today. Guess I stared at books less and did less, goal activities. And, I guess meditated or something. I don't know, it's like, okay. So the psychological cognition starts to give some kind of start to give kind of spontaneous thinking, like, oh, where do emotion, have you ever, and maybe a better way to try to start this chain of thought, this stream of thought, or, to explain my thinking now. Gosh, you gotta say stuff like 4 different ways to like get concise enough so like going to, hopefully a graduate school and interviewing, they're not like, I watched one of your videos and you need to be more like the Punisher and less obnoxious with your voices and your consciousness, and it's like, oh, my minion, it's a minion, it's like, oh, it's a peace sign, it's a minion peace sign, stop trying to show what I'm doing and say it, but I have a hard time with language, so the explanation sometimes gets a little tricky. But kind of like what I just did, it's all in the brain. My body's just, a flabby, skin, covered human. Emotion comes from up here. And I think a benefit for psychological cognition, one of the good parts of having psychological cognition is having that kind of spontaneous thinking where, you're laying in bed and you're thinking of like, the budget next month for food and for doing stuff and the freedom. Whereas now it's like, on a, tight dollars and cents bank account because the coronavirus came up kind of fast and unexpectedly. But next month, I can prepare better and spend less money on myself, just wasted that money on myself, Brain just sucked up too much dollars. And, ridiculousness aside, emotion, it can come from, oh, see, it came from now the emotions are fighting. Now they're talking, see the emotions, see the whole hand's having, oh God, I think, oh gosh, that's a bad emotion, now it's making fun of religion, it's see the hand's just like, emotion everywhere, you know, but mostly, you know, emotion with the brain and mind, you know. You get some, you know, amygdala and different anatomy. The more optimized the emotion gets learned and, you know, thought about and then understood, because there's the psychological cognition of thinking and thought, and then there's the understanding of behavior, gesture, world, and body. Being more, better, more compassionate, you know, making life more conscious and not just, you know, tie-dye consciousness. Happy people, friendly people, nice folks, 1,000 different languages with 100 million dialects, and nobody yelling at each other. And the emotion from the brain, I think, is helpful for the psychological cognition, because you can then have a decision to go to your body, you know, go down and just focus on your breathing, you know, if you're getting upset, and it's just a quick connection, then, you know, making sense of your emotion, you know, like the man earlier, you know, what was your emotion? Oh, well, let me go back, because then you got to remember, and then that's going into your memory, you know, and it's kind of duality, saying, well, I was talking about emotion before, so, you know, well, how about I, you know, make sure I know what I'm talking about and go, you know, and then it's kind of conspiracy theory, but a less, I think, beneficial practice and habit than recognizing emotion occurring, maybe. Good or bad, you know, like, okay, I did too much comedy. I need to get back on track with my school stuff and mind my body. That's what's on my desk right now. I'm just scared to mind my body. I'm serious. I mean, it's like having to go take a poop, you know. You gotta like really like, oh, I gotta like not poop my pants, you know. Unless you're running around a track and it's fun, you know. There was a little boy that did that one time, and he looked like he was having fun, and just it's like, you know, it's like consciousness, you know. All of a sudden you're like, oh, it's daytime. Just, and you're like, oh, the night's here, you know, now. It's like, oh, it's candles, you know, candlelight, and oh, more those emotions are just out of control. It's, oh, see, the emotions are trying to fight each other, but then you take away the duality with psychological cognition, you know, because then it's playtime, you know, and you know, these hands are just like not behaving and gesturing correctly on the camera, so, you know, you gotta figure out how to get rid of the duality. Because the psychological cognition, you know, to make it like less like stupid, you know, okay, you know, stop thinking, you know, you go down from your brain, your mind, or you can mind your body, and then, you know, but minding your body is kind of like, you know, it's it's like punishment and law, you know. Those are like decision making, where you can just have the freedom to just, you know, go down to your body and just release, you know. And then it's like a good feeling, you know. It's like, oh, like fun, but then, you know, that just like calmness. Whereas like the minding the body more like, jujitsu, like really getting ready to, get in the position to choke. Judo, getting in the position to, throw. Karate, and then there's, boxing, just, trying to, hit someone in the face or body, paying attention, awareness, and then boom. A little bit, far away from emotion, but in emotion, in the body, like I was doing, maybe someone does have, maybe an emotion in their heart, and their heart's, maybe not working as well as it used to, and they're starting to get sad from their heart. That could go back and forth. Maybe their emotions because, their arms broke in a cast and they can't, do this. But then, the psychological cognition of, okay, recognizing the emotion and then, being attentive and having awareness, like, okay, well, the heart needs to, needs to have good food, needs to have good exercise, and like, okay, then, get going. Rest the heart, maybe put some ice on the arm, and then there's problem solving happening. Rather than just solving the emotion. Solving the emotion will allow it to go away, minding the emotion. But unfortunately, we have emotions that just happen and occur and just spontaneously go boop. It's like the poop in the toilet, it just goes boop. You don't gotta like force it or anything, it just happens. And it's like that way with the emotions. Not all the time, but occasionally you just like, man, I miss that guy or that lady, If you're into social stuff, or for me, it's like, oh, I gotta go and, figure out some dinner, I'm getting that emotion of like intensity, or no, the emotion of emotion. So, it's worth the playtime sometimes just to have, not such a, minding emotion response, but, a learning, it's like, oh, you can like learn, you just, it's less work, it's more beneficial chemicals, it's more beneficial brain, mind, and body for consciousness. You're not just like really staring at the Punisher, like this emotion's gonna come, I know it, and then you're gonna punish that emotion, it's like, oh, it's crazy. And then you can like visualize the emotion like turning happy, and then okay, but it's still up here, it's in the brain, the mind, and the body's describing it now with my hands, but those are different choices and different options, the end.